We're live. Oh, did we get it right or what? You thought I was going to forget. You thought I was going to forget that we have one hell of a victory lap to take before we start this show. Last week, on my trades video, my trade of the week, my number one trade for trade target of the week, Achane. We gave you Achane. And then Sunday morning, we came live on the show to talk, you do our usual start, sit conversation, go through the questions. While we were waiting for people to get into the chat, I kind of like to talk about, expectations of the week. Just go back and watch, the first minute and a half of that show from last week and watch me just spew love for Achane at the beginning of the show. I said, today's the day. Today's the day. Today's the day that we see Achane break out. And what did we see? What did he only break out? The dude exploded. And on my trades video, I said this guy is on the verge of a fantasy football explosion. And even I was surprised by what he did against the Broncos. That was magical. Magical. That's the only way you can describe it. It was magical. It was beautiful. I mean, I root for my takes more than I do my fantasy teams. And I'm a Patriots fan. I root for my takes more than I root for the fucking Patriots at this point. Because, I mean, what is it to root for? They're terrible. It was a good day. Let's just say it was a good day. Watching Achane absolutely, I guess it's Achane now. We're going to Achane. That's going to take a little rewiring in the brain. Been saying Achane since freaking January when we were scouting these guys. So it was Achane, Achane. Just watching him go crazy. It was just a thing of beauty. Just an absolute thing of beauty. So we'll continue to victory lap, throughout the night. I'll bring it up a little bit a few more times, but that's enough of that. What we're here for tonight. So normally on these Saturday nights, first couple of weeks, we've kind of done some underdog drafts, right? We've done some underdog drafts. Underdog's a fantastic platform. I love doing those drafts. I'm terrible at them, but I love doing them. And you can use our promo code right here at the top of the screen. Promo code YARDSPER. And it says $100 deposit match. So let me tell you, for a very, 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 very limited time offer, I think it's like for the next week or so, Underdog is giving you a $500 deposit match. Not 100, 500. Plus, you still get over here. You still get this mystery pick'em special, which is really cool because they give you a pick'em that is like, for example, Tua Tagovailoa, higher or lower 0.5 passing yards. Obviously, he's getting over. It's free money. It's just free money. And they're giving $100,000 away every week. Underdog's fantastic. Give it a try. Use our promo code. Get that free $500 deposit match. Unbelievable. You deposit $500, you're going to have $1,000 in your account. But anyway, we're going to answer some start-sit questions. We're not going to do an underdog draft today. That's kind of where I was going with that. We're not going to do that today. We're going to try something different. We're going to do some rankings. I feel like it'll be a little bit more fun. A little more relaxed. I get so intense, trying to do these drafts. We're on the clock for 30 seconds, and I panic, and I freak out, and I can't get to your questions. I feel like we'll just kind of chill, kind of relax, enjoy our Achane victory laps, and we'll give us some rankings here. So I'm gonna start sharing the screen. We're also gonna get to your questions. That's kind of something that when I'm doing the drafts, it's hard to go back and forth, focus on the draft, and then answer your questions. Whereas when I'm doing rankings, I can just stop doing rankings. We can just talk your questions for 10 minutes straight if you want. So we'll answer questions throughout. If you just watched the last show that we just had, just ended about 5-10 minutes ago with Steven and Ryan, it was their first live. I mean, they've been on our channel for a couple months now, but they haven't been live on our channel. That was their first live stream on our YouTube channel. And let me tell you, I've been going live for over a year and a half. We have the Coach Approach with Coach Bruce, Brett L. Pape. Those guys do a fantastic job. Unbelievable show every week. Unbelievable show. Probably the best show on the channel. 100% the best show on the channel. But Steven and Ryan tonight, they absolutely killed it. Absolutely killed it. And you guys in the chat are a big reason why. Asking them tough questions. Like, you're not giving them little, layup questions. You're giving them the tough questions. And they absolutely slaughtered every single one of them. Hit it out of the park. Absolutely killed it. So shout out to those guys. Those guys are awesome. So glad that they're a part of our Yards Per Fantasy team. All right. Get down to business. Let's get some rankings. I'm going to start sharing the screen. And then we'll start answering some questions as well. So get those in here. We're going to do this, change that up, and we're going to share. All right. Here we go. You guys see that on your screen? Let me know if you don't. All right. So we got Sammy in here. Sammy's in here. I feel like Sammy's in part of every one of our shows, which is absolutely fantastic. Oh, hi. The screen share as well. Sammy's one of our best supporters in every single one of our shows, whether it's my show, the Coach Approach, every single one asking questions. I guess we'll have to adjust the layout for the next one and put myself not down here. See, hi. All right, Sammy's asking, should we start two between Kamara, Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon, James Cook, Raheem Mostert? So he also Saquon Barkley. Sammy also has Saquon Barkley. Saquon is supposedly, a game time decision. Can I edit this layout on the fly because this is going to be weird? Here we go. Move this up over here. There we go. So Saquon Barkley is supposedly a game time decision, but he is doubtful, and he's playing on Monday Night Football. So I don't think we can really we can't go with Barkley. Barkley's going to be on the bench. He's got that high ankle issue. We knew that was going to be a multi-week injury anyway. All right. Here we go. Now you can see me. So we're gonna keep Barkley on the bench. Play it safe there. So it's Kamara. I think we got to kind of play it safe with Kamara as well, right? It's his first game back. We don't know where he's gonna. I think he's gonna be pretty decent on his first game back, but we don't know 100%. He's gonna be a little rusty. So we got Jacobs, James Cook, Raheem Mostert. So I'm gonna go Mostert for sure. I mean, we got to start Mostert, right? Mostert and Achane are starts until further notice at this point. I think I like James Cook this week. We did knock. Just before I went live, I knocked Josh Jacobs down the rankings about 6 or so spots with the Jimmy Garoppolo news that he was officially ruled out. So yeah, I knocked Josh Jacobs down to RB13, which is just behind James Cook at RB12. So I got Raheem Mostert at RB8, James Cook at RB12. So that's where we're going to go there. We're going to start with those two guys. I kind of just answered this question as well. If I can get it up here. There we go. James Cook or Raheem Mostert to start. So we just answered that. We're going to go Raheem Mostert, pretty much. So that was a 2-for-1 question right there. Pretty awesome. All right, so let's do a little bit of rankings, and then we'll kind of mix in some more questions throughout. So I'm going to start with this. S tier, like the stars. These are the studs. These are the must, absolute no-brainers. I think that's pretty easy. 2 guys for me this week. Maybe even just 1 guy this week. It's Christian McCaffrey. Easily, right? Christian McCaffrey. Got to come right up into this S tier. There we go. Got Christian McCaffrey as my RB1 for the week. Pretty easy. Going against the Cardinals. Not much to say about that. I mean, he's fully involved in the rushing game, passing game, really good offense. The Cardinals have absolutely exceeded expectations. I mean, let me know in the chat if you thought the Cardinals were going to be this good, because I know you're lying. I know you're lying. So then we got Tony Pollard is my RB2. We're going to find Tony Pollard here in this group of running backs. He's my RB2 for this week. Going against the Patriots, it's a little bit of a tough matchup, right? A little bit of a tough matchup. I'm never going to be able to find all these guys on this. There's so many running backs here. Here we go. I see Tony Pollard. We can drag him up here. So Tony Pollard, I think we're going to, because he's got a difficult matchup, for only talking the top 24, right? That's what we're going to do. We're going to do the top 20, top 24. So I think he's going to be a little bit of a tier down from Christian McCaffrey. All right, I think that's what we got to do. You guys going to have him up here with McCaffrey or down here? I think we got to have him down here. Christian McCaffrey is going to be tier all by himself this week. And then we got to go Bijan. Bijan is going to also be right here in this tier, in the A tier with Tony Pollard. He's my RB3 for the week. Down week last week, but we got to expect some of those given that Falcons offense. It's just there are going to be some down weeks in that offense, but the usage remains absolutely elite, and so does his talent. So now we're looking for Kenneth Walker, who's my RB4. So we'll do the top 5, and then we'll stop and take some questions. Anybody see Kenneth Walker here? Pretty cool if they were in alphabetical order. All right, so Kenneth Walker is also going to be in this tier. I think we'll probably just do like the top 15. It's going to take too long. If we want to get to questions and such. We'll do one more, and then we'll get to the rest of the questions. Travis Etienne. He's my RB5. So we're going to find Travis Etienne. Etienne going against the Falcons. The Jaguars' offense has been weird. Jaguars' offense has been really weird to start the season. I don't know what's going on with that. I mean, Trevor Lawrence hasn't looked as sharp as he was at the end of last year. The receivers are dropping passes. But Travis Etienne, he's been pretty good. I mean, he's getting the usage. Absolutely getting the usage that we were hoping for. He's getting the work in the passing game, which is what we saw from him coming out of Clemson, right? That's what we wanted. And he didn't catch passes last year. He didn't catch passes last year. So it's like, what the hell? This is a guy who caught 100 passes at Clemson from his current quarterback. So we knew going into this year that they were going to correct that problem. They weren't going to keep putting Jermichael Hasty out there on third downs. They were going to start throwing the ball to Travis Etienne. He's had multiple 5-target games already through the first 3 weeks. So, all right. So we got our top 5. It's Christian McCaffrey in a tier all by himself. Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Kenneth Walker, and Travis Etienne rounds up the top 5. Let's get to some more questions here real quick, and then we'll start doing some more rankings. So Derek is asking PPR, start one running back and a flex. So we got Kamara, Dameon Pierce, that's another one that's just kind of been weird. He's losing touches. Devin Singletary. He's even losing some snaps. Not a lot, but some. Enough to make a difference. to Mike Boone. Mike Boone has gotten involved a little bit in a couple of games. Little annoying, as you know, if you're rostering Dameon Pierce. But the Texans offense has been good. All indications are CJ Stroud's going to be legit. This is a legit NFL quarterback right here. So that's exciting. And you want running backs in that kind of offense, but they're still on their way up. They're not there yet. They're not all the way there yet. They're working their way up. So I did talk about Dameon Pierce as a sell this week just because of the usage just hasn't been great. He's not been efficient. He's not getting work in the passing game. We really need him to have. But there's definitely a silver lining there with that Texans offense ascending. Christian Kirk, I think he's a must start this week with Zay Jones out. Got a good matchup there. Going against the Falcons. Devon Achane and Tank Dell. Tank Dell's been killing it as well. We talk about that Texans offense. Remember, CJ Stroud was pounding the table after the Texans drafted him. Please go draft Tank Dell. Please draft this little midget guy. Please. That little midget guy is so good. He is so good. Maybe we shouldn't make fun of his height because he's probably he's a regular sized human. He's probably about my height. You know, when we compare to NFL athletes, he's on the smaller side. But he's fantastic. He's an electric route runner. He's explosive, making plays. As long as he can hold his body up, 165 pounder, he's going to be great. He's going to be really, really solid. So one running back, one flex. I'm going to go Alvin Kamara as our running back. I know. I'd love to wait and see. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to go Achane as our running back. I forgot Achane's on here. Forget me. Erase the last 10 seconds. We're going to go Devon Achane. And then we're going to go Christian Kirk at wide receiver in the flex. Yeah, I like that. All right. Oh, now he's adding Brandon Ayuk. Now he's going to come in and add Brandon Ayuk, which I probably should have seen this before. Brandon Ayuk, he's back. Had a little injury last week. He missed out. But now Debo's got his own stuff that he's working through. So he's not going to be 100% out there. So I think we've got to go Ayuk. I think we're going to go Ayuk over Christian Kirk for the flex spot. Though I do love Christian Kirk. I have Christian Kirk as my wide receiver 23. So they're both wide receiver 2s this week. I do have Ayuk as my wide receiver 15, though. So I'm pretty high on Ayuk this week. Going against the Cardinals. Should we go Rachaad White or Devon Achane? As much as I love Rachaad White, and I think he's a buy low right now, the usage on Rachaad White has been absolutely elite. Absolutely elite. The production, not so much. But what do you expect when he goes against the Eagles, right? When it's the Eagles, the Bucs O-line is not good, and they're injured. So we're going to give him a pass for the Eagles game. He tore up the Bears, 20-point fantasy week. But we're going to go Devon Achane there. Devon Achane until further notice. All right. Let's do some more running back rankings. We'll get through the next tier, and then we'll get back to your questions. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. And if I don't get to your question for some reason, you can find my rankings at yardsperfantasy.com. We also have a start-sit tool. Find that right in the menu there. You literally like asking me a question. You just type in, do I want to start this guy or do I want to start that guy? And it's going to spit out the answer. And it goes off of my rankings. So that's a cool little tool we got. That's yardsperfantasy.com/start-sit. And we're going to be live 12:15 tomorrow, all the way up to kickoff. And all we're going to do is answer questions. So my running back 6 for week 4, we're going to find him here in this list. It's DeAndre Swift. So I think we're going to knock him down to the B tier. DeAndre Swift is right here. Nice and easy to find. Thank you very much. So DeAndre Swift has been fantastic, right? These last 2 weeks. He's always been efficient. He's always been efficient. He's a good running back. It's just, does he want to play? Does he want to be out there? Does he want to put in the work? Coaches don't seem to like him in Detroit. And then he comes to Philadelphia. You have all these high expectations, which shouldn't have been as high as they were because they didn't really give up much to get him. And he is barely used in week 1. Kenneth Gainwell is the bell cow. And then Kenneth Gainwell gets hurt. And they're like, oh, we got this DeAndre Swift guy. Let's play him. And he just absolutely crushes for 2 weeks. But we look at week 3, week 3, when Gainwell came back. Yes, Swift still crushed it. Dominant. But he only had 2 more carries than Kenneth Gainwell. So we got to pay attention to that. All right. So Gainwell is going to be significantly involved. Enough to where DeAndre Swift probably can't get to his ceiling week in, week out. Right. He's going to have great weeks. He's going to have good weeks. But he's going to be a little bit capped by Kenneth Gainwell. Didn't happen as much last week, despite the usage of Gainwell. Swift was just fantastic. But there are going to be weeks where it's going to be a Gainwell week. Unfortunately, if you're rostering DeAndre Swift. So I think that's why we just cannot put him in the same tier as Pollard, Bijan, Walker, and Travis Etienne. My RB7 was actually Aaron Jones, which that did not go well. That did not go well. So I'm glad we don't have to put him on this little tier list here. So my RB8 is Raheem Mostert. And we all saw what Raheem Mostert did last week. We all saw what Devon Achane did last week as well. This is going to be a split backfield, but it's an explosive Miami offense. Explosive Miami running game. 2 explosive running backs. How many times can we say explosive? One more time, it's an explosive team all the way around, right? So I think Mostert is my RB8. We got to keep starting Mostert. We're going to keep starting Achane. They're both startable. Raheem Mostert's still going to get the majority of the work, but Achane is going to eat into it more and more and more. You have to. He's going to have to. They can't suppress that rookie. He's too good. But I think if both of these guys are sharing the backfield, it'll keep them both healthy, both fresh. Because we know Mostert's injury history. We know Achane is tiny. And Mostert's not he's not a huge running back either. So RB9 is Derrick Henry. And he's a guy that when I made my video earlier in the week, talking about trades, guys were buying and selling, he was on my sell list. He was on the sell list. And that might be a sell low. He might be a sell low. But the usage is concerning because in the 2 games where the Titans have had negative game scripts, Derrick Henry has been vastly outsnapped by Tyjae Spears. Now, Tyjae Spears hasn't been super effective in those snaps, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're not debating if we're starting Tyjae Spears. We're debating if we're starting Derrick Henry. And what we've loved about Derrick Henry, the reason why he's been such a stud for years is because he gets fed massive volume. He doesn't come off the field except for on third downs. And the reason it's okay that he comes off the field on third downs, he doesn't catch a lot of passes, is because he's just absolutely fed the football 20 plus carries almost every single game. That's how he does it. And now he's behind a terrible offensive line in a terrible offense with terrible weapons, a terrible quarterback. They're going to be in negative game scripts more often than not. And they're already showing us that in those negative game scripts, they're going to play Tyjae Spears in a significant role. He's going to be on the field, which means they're not going to feed Derrick Henry. And we saw in week 3, that resulted in 11 carries for 20 yards. Because now, not only does he not have the volume, he doesn't have the efficiency to make up for the lack of volume. What are we doing? What are we doing? Because that offensive line is so bad, even Derrick Henry can't make up for it. And I hate to say it, but Derrick Henry may have lost a half a step here. Just a little bit. But it's only week 4. It's only week 4. So he hasn't slid out of my top 10 yet. We're going to give him another week. Going against the Bengals. Could be, Joe Burrow started to look a little bit like himself. A little bit last week. A little bit. So maybe that game stays close and maybe he gets some more work. So we're going to give him one more week inside the top 10 running backs. I'm not thrilled about it. We're going to give him one more week. All right, let's go to a question here from Dom. In full PPR, would you start Josh Palmer or Elijah Moore? This is a really tough one. So I'm going to pull up the rankings just to see what we got. So Josh Palmer is moving into the wide receiver 2 spot in Los Angeles, which is excellent. That's really good. But it's still Josh Palmer, right? He's not a super talented guy. He's good enough. He's good enough to get the job done. He's got a decent matchup going against Vegas. And Elijah Moore, tough matchup going against Baltimore. Now the Baltimore secondary and the defense has been banged up. So it's not as tough as, maybe the Ravens defenses in the years past, but it's still a divisional game. Those games kind of get sloppy, get ugly, But Elijah Moore has had significant target shares. Hasn't done a lot with them yet, but he has. So he's a little bit of a buy low for me. And he was going to be in my trade video this week until I saw his schedule. Until I saw that he's playing the Ravens this week, and then he's got a bye week, and then he comes back from his bye week and plays the 49ers. So we'll wait a few weeks to buy Elijah Moore, but I think at some point this year, he's going to be a buy. As long as that usage continues, his target shares continue, I think he's going to have some weeks. He could have a nice second half of the year. All that nonsense to get to my answer of Josh Palmer over Elijah Moore. All right, Gerald. What are your thoughts on Zay Flowers this week? So we've got no Rashad Bateman. I believe, Odell Beckham's out as well again this week. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So that's going to be great for Zay Flowers. Despite a very difficult matchup against a really, really good Browns defense to start the year. The Browns defense has been fantastic through 3 weeks. So that's definitely a difficult matchup. But the Ravens are going to they're going to continue to find ways to feed the football to Zay Flowers. He's explosive. He's going to make plays after the catch. They're going to scheme up touches for him because he's going to be the focal point. It's going to be him, and it's going to be Mark Andrews. So I have Zay Flowers. Let me see where I have Zay Flowers ranked this week. Definitely inside my top 25. Oh, definitely not inside my top 25. He's my wide receiver 26. I think the matchup is kind of holds him out of that top 25, but I do like Zay Flowers this week. Low end wide receiver 2, high end wide receiver 3. Chandler is asking, should I start Fields or Stroud? Oof. Fields or Stroud? Man, this is depressing. As someone who liked Justin Fields, because my theory on Justin Fields was, I thought he would take a step as a passer this year. I really did. He's going to get the weapon with DJ Moore. Another year in that offense, another year in the NFL. It's year 3. He's going to start to figure it out. He started to figure it out a little bit last year. And he's going to get, I just thought it was going to happen. I thought it was going to happen. And then I was like, well, all right. If he doesn't take a step as a passer, he can't get any worse, right? He's not going to get worse as a passer. He's at least going to run. He's going to run. Well, 1, he's gotten worse as a passer. 2, he's not running. So what the hell's the point? What are we doing? So this is the first week I'm ranking him outside my top 12. I do have him as my QB 13 because he's going against that Denver defense. He started to run a little bit more last week. Maybe we get one more week from Justin Fields. But if you want to start CJ Stroud, who I do have ranked below Justin Fields, he's got a difficult matchup of his own going against the Steelers. He's my QB 21. I am still starting Justin Fields, but I can't blame you if you want to start Stroud. Stroud's been great. Fields has been terrible. Second part of the question is Mike Evans or Amari Cooper. I'm going to go Mike Evans. Apparently, he's not dust. I thought he was dust. After what we saw last year, he scored 35% of his fantasy points, I believe it was, in 2 games. Half of his touchdowns came in 1 game, which was what, that week 18 game, week 17. So I thought Mike Evans was dust. He's not dust. He's been really good, really, really good. I think we put out a stat thanks to our stat researcher Corey. Mike Evans, to begin his season, has had the most receiving yards in his first few weeks that he's ever had over that first 2 or 3 week stretch in his whole career. So clearly not dust. So we're going to go Mike Evans. He's also asking PPR, choose one: Joe Mixon, Christian Kirk, or Michael Thomas. I'm going to go Christian Kirk. I think this is going to be a really, really good Christian Kirk week. I'm going to go Kirk. All right, let's get to more rankings. We're never going to get to where I wanted to get with these rankings. I wanted to do top 24 running backs and wide receivers. I think we're just going to do top 12 of each, and then, we'll just keep answering questions. But next up, all right, we left off at Derrick Henry as my RB9s. We're going to go Miles Sanders at RB10. He's a little questionable coming in, I believe he's going to play. I think he's going to play, unless anybody's heard otherwise. To this point, it looks like he's a decent bet to play. He's got a really good matchup going against the Vikings. The Vikings defense has been really bad, as expected. And Miles Sanders is getting the work in the passing game. He's had 2 weeks of 16% target shares, and then the other week he had a 15% target share, so he's getting used a lot more in the passing game than he was in Philadelphia, which we saw that little clip when he signed with the Panthers that they promised that he was going to get more involved in the passing game. And he has. He hasn't been super effective. He hasn't been great. I still think Chuba Hubbard might be the better running back. But we got to go Miles Sanders there for the usage. Then we got Kyren Williams as RB11. Kyren Williams is a mystery case for me. I don't even know if he's going to be on this little list here. He's got to be, right? He's got to be. But Kyren Williams, he's been getting like bell cow usage. But Kyren Williams is, and maybe I'm in the minority here. I don't think Kyren Williams is that good. I really don't. He's small. He's slow. I know he's got some agility and he's got some shiftiness and he's got some receiving skills. If anybody sees Kyren Williams on this list, let me know, because I do not see him. But if Dylan Jackson's on here, he's got to be on here, right? Let me know if you see him. I see him. He's right here. I don't know if you can even see this list on there. But yeah, Kyren Williams, I'm not a super believer. And I've been seeing some trades. I'm going to put him in the C tier. I've been seeing some trades of Kyren Williams that have absolutely blown my mind. Like, he's being traded for guys who were being drafted just a few weeks ago in the first, second, third rounds of drafts. Kyren Williams was an afterthought in drafts. And I know, like, now he can't be an afterthought anymore. He's been elite usage. Cam Akers is gone. Kyren Williams seems to be the guy, because they got nobody else in that backfield. It's certainly not going to be Zach Evans. I can tell you that. So Kyren Williams is a mystery case for me, and maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm just underrating him. But I don't think what we're getting from Kyren Williams is going to last throughout the year. But for this week, because of the usage, RB11. My RB12 is going to be James Cook. Going to be James Cook. He's right here, nice and easy to find. Really, really good matchup this week. Going against the Dolphins. We've seen what the Dolphins offense is capable of. So they're going to create high scoring games every single week, no matter their opponent, which is great for their opposing fantasy players because those teams are going to do everything they can to maximize the points scored, which means a lot of passing, which is great for us in fantasy football, including James Cook. So James Cook could find the end zone multiple times, and he's not even the goal line back, but he could score from 10 yards out. So get James Cook as my RB12. Should we keep going with the running backs? Let's go to RB15, and then we'll move over to wide receivers. So it was my RB13, like I talked about earlier. I had to knock him down the rankings quite significantly after the news that Jimmy Garoppolo was not going to play. So that's Josh Jacobs comes into my RB13. Here he is right here. So Josh Jacobs, we'll put him in the D tier. So the rest of these guys will be in the D tier from RB 13, 14, and 15. Just Jacobs has not been good. He's not been good. And that was something I was worried about coming into the year. After you saw 400 touches last year, 400, or it's like 398, but let's round up to 400. That is a lot of friggin' touches. Especially for a guy who runs as hard as Josh Jacobs does in between the tackles. He's getting hit on every single play and hit hard by multiple guys and big guys. And then he misses all of training camp, all of preseason. How do we expect him to be in football shape? When he misses all that time, you can stay in shape. You can stay in great shape working out on your own. But there's a difference between great shape and football shape, and I don't know if he was quite to where he normally would have been had he been taking hits in training camp and preseason games, especially coming off a year where he touched the ball so many times. How many times do we see guys touch the ball that many times, come back the next year and just flop? So I think that's what we're seeing with Josh Jacobs. He doesn't have a good offense, doesn't have a good offensive line to help him, kind of propel him with that usage. Maybe he's a little, I don't know. So he's my RB13. RB13. So my RB14 for this week was Jahmyr Gibbs. That didn't work out either. So let's move Zach Moss to the next spot here. Zach Moss has been another one of these guys, kind of like Kyren Williams, just getting elite usage. Although he's done more with his usage. But let me tell you, Zach Moss has really, really, really surprised me. Because if you had told me that this guy was getting the workload that he's getting, I would have been like, okay, whatever. He's getting the workload. They have to give it to somebody, right? He's not going to do anything with it. He's kind of done something with it. He's kind of done something with it. He's been decent. He's been pretty good, actually. So I've been really surprised with Zach Moss. We'll do one more running back, and that's Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon. Where is he? Right here. So Joe Mixon, tough matchup this week going against the Titans. The Titans have been really, really good against stopping the run. On top of that, they've been really bad against the pass. So teams are not incentivized to even run the ball against them because one, it's tough, and two, just throw it. Just throw it against the Titans. They're so bad in the secondary. Here's our running backs. So we got Christian McCaffrey in a tier all by himself, right? Then got RB2, Tony Pollard, Bijan Robinson, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne. That's tier 2. Tier 3, DeAndre Swift, Raheem Mostert, Derrick Henry, Miles Sanders. Then we move to the next tier. It's Kyren Williams and James Cook. And we round it out. Josh Jacobs, Zach Moss, and Joe Mixon. Like I said, you can find the rest of my running back rankings at yardsperfantasy.com. The link should be in the description. Looking at these running backs, would you guys make any changes? Who are you moving? Who are you moving up? Who are you moving down? Who is missing from these top 12 or so running backs that you would slide in there? Let me know in the comments as I start to shift over to the wide receivers. So we'll stop sharing the screen for a minute, I guess. Yeah, so let me know who would have been in your top 12 running backs. Did I miss anybody there? Probably, I don't know. Is Kyren Williams, you guys believe in Kyren Williams? Are you as skeptical on Kyren Williams as I am? Or are you one of these guys who is aggressively trying to acquire him just based on the usage? I'm not. If you're coming at me with a really good offer for Kyren Williams, I'm going to hit the accept button. I'm going to take it. What up, Sleepy? All right. So we got the wide receiver rankings ready to go. And as we're doing this, if you guys have start-sit questions, just put them in the chat. We'll get to them. All right. So let's pull up these wide receivers. Change the layout. Here we go. All right. So we got Alex Smith is back in here. Last time I was like, is this the Alex Smith? I'm still convinced there's a chance it could be. Probably not, though. He's asking, should we sit one in PPR? DeAndre Swift, Alvin Kamara, Travis Etienne, or Kyren Williams? So I'm going to sit Alvin Kamara here pretty easily. This is going to be the guy that I'm going to sit here. As we just did the running back rankings, we did like the top 12, top 13, top 14 or so. Kamara was the only one who wasn't in it. And I have Kamara ranked as my RB22. So I do have him inside my top 24. He's an RB2 this week. But I think we have to be patient with him. Coming off the suspension, missing a few weeks. Going against the Bucs, who have been pretty decent against the run defensively. So we're going to sit Kamara there. Mario is asking, would you start Alexander Madison or Brandon Ayuk in the flex? I'm going to go Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, I like him this week. He's my wide receiver 15. Really good matchup going against the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals have really exceeded expectations at this point, but it's still. And Deebo Samuel's banged up, right? So that's gonna be good for Brandon Ayuk seeing more targets there. Though I do have Alexander Madison ranked as my RB17 this week, but this is gonna be the week we see Cam Akers. So a little bit of risk there. I don't know how much we're gonna see of Akers, but he's gonna start to get involved. Do you guys think that Cam Akers is eventually going to take over that backfield this year, or you think it's going to be an even split? You think it's going to still be the Alexander Madison show and Cam Akers is going to keep backing him up? Let me know what you think. Sleepy is asking, am I crazy for starting Devon Achane over Miles Sanders or Stevenson? I feel like I have to start him because of last week. Yeah. I don't think that's crazy at all. I don't think it's crazy at all. But we got to remember, they're not playing the Broncos again. And Raheem Mostert is still there. Raheem Mostert is still the running back that I'm starting. But man, we had a hell of a call last week saying that Achane was about to break out. And then he goes and does what he did. So that was pretty fun. So no, I don't think that's crazy at all. I wouldn't probably, but I can't blame you for wanting to start him. He was awesome. He is an explosive running back. We saw what his ceiling is. He can break off a run of 50 yards at any time. So I can't blame you for doing that. If you want to shoot for complete upside, then yeah, he's the play. He's the play because Stevenson has a tough matchup. Sanders is, Sanders. So Achane definitely has the highest ceiling. I'm probably starting Miles Sanders, sorry. I would start Sanders there. But I do have Achane as my RB19. I'm trying to I was victory lapping so much after last week. I'm trying to hold back from ranking him too high because I want to just put him at RB1. But I know we can't do that as long as Mostert's there. So yeah, it's not crazy at all. Leo is asking Breece Hall or Brian Robinson in the flex. I think we got to go Brian Robinson. We have to, right? We have to. Breece Hall, he started getting his role back a little bit last week. But that offense is so bad. The offense is so bad. I mean, his first 2 carries went for 109 yards. And then he's done nothing since then. I don't think he even has 109 yards since then. So Michael Carter's still involved. Dalvin Cook is still involved. Zach Wilson is your quarterback. I'm not a big Brian Robinson guy, but he's getting more work in the passing game than we were expecting. Although he was out-snapped last week in a negative game script by Antonio Gibson, so he's not a safe choice by any means. And if we want to just go talent, it is Hall, but I think we could go Robinson there. And I do have Brian Robinson ranked 2 spots ahead of Breece Hall for whatever that's worth. Ron, pick 2, half PPR, flex. Kyren Williams, James Cook, or Jalen Waddle? Well, we're going to go Waddle. We saw what that Miami offense is capable of. I mean, can you imagine? I can't even imagine. And actually, I have Jalen Waddle in a couple leagues, so I can imagine. I have him in the Scott Fishbowl. My team is as injured as you could possibly be. It's been terrible. I can't even get the words out. It's been so bad. But we're still going Jalen Waddle there. Absolutely. He's coming off a concussion. Can't believe he missed out on last week's just explosion of the Miami offense. They go out there and score 70 points. And you're sitting there with Jalen Waddle inactive. Oh, that hurts. That hurts. So we're going Jalen Waddle. And then we're going to go. I have Kyren Williams and James Cook ranked very, very, very close to each other. Maybe even back to back. I'm looking at the rankings right now. I do have them back to back. I have Kyren Williams 1 spot ahead of James Cook. But if you want to play the ceiling play, I think that's James Cook. Safe play is Kyren Williams. Yeah, Dolphins are loaded at running back. I don't think they're going to be going after Jonathan Taylor anymore. Those days, I think, are over. Start 1 full PPR. Raheem Mostert, Rachaad White, Kyren Williams. We're going to go Mostert here pretty easily. I'm going to go Mostert. Gerald, choose one in PPR between Christian Kirk, Michael Thomas, and Zay Flowers. We can throw Michael Thomas to the side. We're going to go Christian Kirk over Zay Flowers. I have him ranked a few spots ahead. I like both this week. Well, Flowers I like because, we've got no Beckham, no Rashad Bateman. Kirk I like because we've got no Zay Jones, but also a better matchup than what Flowers is going to have to play against. Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk? I'm going Brandon Ayuk this week. I have Ayuk as my wide receiver 15. I believe Deebo is my wide receiver like 19, and wide receiver 20. He's got the rib injuries. He's a little banged up. I think he's going to play, but he might be a little limited. Because I mean, he's such a physical guy. It's going to be hard for him to play at his highest of levels with a rib injury. Rib injuries are tough, especially when you're such a physical run after the catch guy like a Deebo Samuel. That's what that's what his game is built on. So I'm going to go Deebo. Matthew is asking, can we flex Matt Breida or Khalil Herbert? This one, yeah. This is the one we have to kind of scroll the rankings a little bit. Got to scroll down. So we're going to go Khalil Herbert, though I do believe the Roschon Johnson takeover is coming. But it's going to be hard to predict when that's going to be. It's coming soon. It is coming soon. And I talked about that on the trades video this week. I put out a YouTube short and a TikTok video talking about the time is coming for Roschon Johnson. It's going to be hard to predict, but his snap share has been going up every single week. Last week, it was still in favor of Khalil Herbert, though. It was 55% to 45%. But I expect that's going to probably get to 50-50. And then maybe next week is where we see Roschon go from below Khalil Herbert, even to Khalil Herbert, to above Khalil Herbert. I want to go Herbert there, though. We just saw the Broncos defense get absolutely slaughtered. And I know there's a huge difference between the Dolphins offense and the Bears offense. But the Broncos defense is terrible. So anyway, I'm going to go Herbert there over Breida. Kevin is asking, take Dell or Nico Collins. So this is a debate I saw. One of the first questions on the last show that just went on the channel with Ryan and Steven, one of the first questions was Nico Collins or Tank Dell. I think I can't remember. I think they were split. One said Tank Dell, one said Nico Collins. I can't remember. I was getting things set up for this show, so kind of had it on in the background. And I'm looking at my wide receiver rankings right now, and this isn't going to make things any better because I have Tank Dell ranked as my wide receiver 31. I have Nico Collins ranked as my wide receiver 32. So they're back to back. So I guess we're saying Tank Dell by this much, which is about the size of Tank Dell. So I gotta stop making fun of Tank Dell's height, man. What's Tank Dell's height? Anybody look it up? He's like 5'8", right? 5'8". So he's like, I think I'm like 5'10", 5'11". So he's barely shorter than me. And I'm making fun of him as being like this little teeny tiny guy. He's really not. When you compare him to Nico Collins, he is, but so am I. Yeah. Deep analysis comparing Tank Dell's size to my size. You don't get that on any other show, do you? All right. Take a couple more questions, and we'll start ranking these wide receivers in the tiers here. We're off the rails here. But it's Saturday night. It's the Dead Zone show. This is what happens. Get off the rails. It's just a free-for-all. We do what we want. There's no rules on Saturday night. There's no rules. Sleepy is asking, full PPR, who do you think is a better flex play this week? Josh Palmer or Elijah Moore? I'm going to go Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer is the wide receiver 2. And he's been productive there as the wide receiver 3 over the last few weeks. He's been startable. It's certainly not going to be Quentin Johnson. So he's going to be the wide receiver 2. In a Justin Herbert offense, I'm taking that all day. I know Elijah Moore has had pretty good target shares to this point. Hasn't done a whole lot with them though. It's a lot of low target distance, opportunities. I do think Elijah Moore could be a guy that maybe breaks out in the second half of the year. But right now, I'm going to start Josh Palmer over him. And we'll get one more question before we start ranking these wide receivers. From Asher. Asher is asking in the flex, Marquise Brown or Breece Hall? This is a case of, I think we got to go Marquise Brown. I think we have to go Marquise Brown, and that really breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart because I love Breece Hall. I love Breece Hall. He's so talented, man. But I just, in that offense, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to trust him right now. I'm just not ready. And Marquise Brown, he scored a touchdown in each of the last couple of weeks. He's been getting the targets there. Josh Dobbs has greatly exceeded expectations. Yeah, I'm going to go Marquise Brown there. All right. Let's rank some wide receivers, and then we'll get to some more questions. I see a trade question sitting in there, so we'll get to that in a few minutes. All right, let me pull up my wide receiver rankings. So we'll start in this S tier, which is like the stud tier. These are the studs. These are the must, no-brainer, set it and forget it wide receivers. So obviously, when you think about set it and forget it wide receivers, you think of the best wide receivers in the league. It starts with Justin Jefferson. Just place him there for a minute as I scroll up. All right. Justin Jefferson, easy wide receiver one. Nobody's going to disagree with that, right? Nobody's going to disagree with that. Justin Jefferson, wide receiver one. You've got to scroll down a little bit here because you can't see it. All right. But I think we're going to have another guy because the running back, we had just one guy in that stud tier. We're going to do one more. We're going to do one more. If you know who it's going to be, let me know. Let me know in the chat. See if you can guess it before I can find him in this massive group of players. I'd imagine he'd be towards the top, actually. Who do you think is going to be the wide receiver two? Pretty easy, right? We saw what he did last week. Saw what he's done every week. I absolutely cannot see him on here. Too many guys, man. Anybody see him? You know who I'm talking about. You know who it's going to be. You already know. Man, this is great content here. Just watching me just struggle to find Tyreek Hill. Where the hell is Tyreek Hill? All right. If anybody sees where the hell Tyreek Hill is in this group of players here, he's put it in the chat. I can't find him. I found him. Here he is. Tyreek, what you doing down there, bro? This is very clunky. I wish you could just click on him and he just pops into the little thing up here. I'm all over the place. I hate to tell you, but I lost him. Here we go. Great content. Great content, Alex. Great job. All right. He goes right up here next to Justin Jefferson. Easily the top two wide receivers in fantasy football right now. Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill. No doubt about it. And I'm proud to say that at yardsperfantasy.com, we did not waver on who was the wide receiver one for fantasy football this year. While everybody wanted to say it was going to be Jamar Chase, and I love Jamar Chase, man. I do. Great receiver. We saw what he did last week. He's finally starting to get it going. But it's Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is the wide receiver one. Always has been, always will be, at least for now. But Kirk Cousins is on pace for 782 pass attempts. That is his current pace right now. Now, he might not stay at that pace, but he's probably going to set the record for the most pass attempts in a single season. That's only going to be good for Justin Jefferson. That's only going to be good for Jordan Addison. That's only going to be good for TJ Hawkinson. And man, it makes KJ Osborne relevant as well. Think we could go on Diggs as a wide receiver 3. You guys going to put Chase there, or are you going to go? Chase has a really good matchup going against the Titans. Really, really good matchup going against the Titans. But Stephon Diggs going against Miami. And that game screams shootout. And I want these guys who are catching passes in a shootout environment. So we're going to go Stephon Diggs. I think we got to put him in the A tier, though. And then I'm still not going to go Jamar Chase yet. How far is Jamar going to fall, guys? We're going to go Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen was fantastic last week. And now he doesn't even have Mike Williams to contend with for targets. What did Keenan Allen have for targets last week? Was it 20 targets he had? That was he's almost as good as Puka Nacua. There we go, Keenan Allen. I'm starting to find these guys a little bit better. And then I lose them. Oh, there's 2 Keenan Allens. Look at that. Imagine 2 Keenan Allens. I think the NFL has 2 Keenan Allens. Keenan Allen and Amon-Ra St. Brown is the next Keenan Allen. All right, now we get Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has to be the wide receiver 5. He's not going to fall outside the top 5, right? No way. So let's find Jamar Chase. Easily the wide receiver 5. I mean, he was absolutely peppered with targets last week. T. Higgins, they clearly were trying to get T. Higgins going. T. Higgins couldn't get out of his own way. Could not catch a damn ball. Could not catch it. Could not catch it. And some of those were like right here. Couldn't catch it. But Jamar Chase, he caught them all. Great to see him, kind of starting to look like Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow kind of starting to look like Joe Burrow. He had a full practice participation on Friday. So that's a really, really, really good sign for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. The Titans have been terrible against wide receivers. On top of that, they've been great against the run. So teams are not incentivized to run the ball at all. Let's just say fuck it to the run game and let's just throw it. We could see another game where Jamar Chase is just absolutely peppered with targets. A.J. Brown is my wide receiver 6. We're going to bump him down here. Just because we just never know what we're going to get out of that Eagles offense. I mean, they're always going to be good. But are they going to run it this week? Are they going to throw it this week? And if they're going to throw it, are they going to throw it to A.J. Brown? Or are they going to throw it to Devontae Smith or Dallas Goedert? Is Jalen Hurts going to run in the touchdowns? Or is he going to throw it to A.J. Brown? We don't know. So it's a little bit of uncertainty there. So he's going to be in the B tier here as my wide receiver 6. And then I had Amon-Ra St. Brown ranked as wide receiver 7. Obviously, he already played on Thursday Night Football, so we're just going to skip him. That brings us to CeeDee Lamb. That's my wide receiver 8. Going against the Patriots. The Patriots have not allowed a top 12, I believe. I saw this, I believe it was Ryan McDowell tweeted it out. I just briefly glanced at it. I believe I saw the Patriots have not allowed, they're one of a handful of teams, have not allowed not just a top 12 wide receiver, they haven't allowed a top 12 player. Not a running back, not a quarterback, not a tight end, not a wide receiver. So it is a difficult matchup for CeeDee Lamb, but they are at home coming off an embarrassing loss to the Cardinals. This is like the team that everybody, consensus coming into the year was the worst team in the NFL. And they handled the Cowboys. I wouldn't say easily, but whatever is the next tier down from easily. That was embarrassing. Embarrassing for the Cowboys. It may have been more losing to that Cardinals team as a supposed Super Bowl contender that the Cowboys are was more embarrassing than the Broncos giving up 70 points to the Dolphins. It was worse. That was worse. Because we know the Broncos are terrible. We know the Dolphins are good. But the expectations of the Cardinals versus the expectations of the Cowboys. Man, somebody tell Mike McCarthy he should not be calling plays. Don't let him call plays anymore. Let's do one more and then we'll take some more questions. So my wide receiver 9 is Chris Olave. So I don't know about you guys. Let me know if you differ in opinion or agree. But I don't think that the move from Derek Carr quarterback to Jameis Winston at quarterback for Chris Olave is really a big difference. I really don't think it is. And I mean, Jameis is more apt to chuck it down the field to Olave anyway, isn't he? I think the numbers last week for Olave with Derek Carr versus with Jameis Winston were pretty much the same. They were pretty equal. So I haven't moved Chris Olave down the rankings at all with the the news that Derek Carr is going to be out and Jameis Winston is going to start. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys agree with that? All right. Let's see. We have a question up here. From Brian. Now that Jimmy G is questionable, and I believe he's been ruled out. He's not even questionable anymore. I believe he's been ruled out. And we don't know who's going to be the starter. It's probably going to be Brian Hoyer. He's been the one who's been working as the QB2 to this point. And Aiden O'Connell has been inactive. But it could still be Aiden O'Connell. And then Brian Hoyer just remains the backup because Brian Hoyer is basically just a coach in a uniform at this point. He can't throw. He can't play. He's bad at this point. He's just a guy to be there because he knows Josh McDaniels' system. That's really it. And they needed a veteran quarterback. That's it. I don't think they want him on the field. I do not think they want him on the field. And I think they made a mistake by letting Jarrett Stidham go. Let him go to the Broncos. He played pretty well at the end of last year. He looked good in some preseason games last year as well. And he knows the McDaniels system from his time in New England and then also last year in Vegas. But anyway, Jimmy G is out. Should I temper my expectations on Davante Adams and Meyers? Yes, absolutely yes. And actually, when the news came out that Jimmy Garoppolo was out, I made those changes in our rankings. I moved Davante Adams, which we'll get here in our wide receiver rankings here in a few minutes. I moved him down from, I don't remember exactly where I had him. He was hovering around that wide receiver 5, wide receiver 6 area. I moved him down to wide receiver 12. So he's still wide receiver 1 for me because Davante Adams is about as quarterback proof as it gets in the NFL at this point. But it's still, it's still a big drop off from Jimmy Garoppolo to either Aiden O'Connell or Brian Hoyer. I think Brian Hoyer is worst case scenario, though I also think it's the most likely scenario. So yes, absolutely temper expectations on Davante Adams, and even more so on Jakobi Meyers. I moved him down pretty significantly. I was very, very high on Jakobi Meyers coming into the week if Jimmy Garoppolo was going to play. Because they've been feeding Jakobi Meyers. I know he missed week 2, but week 1, he had a 38% target share, which was more than Davante Adams. And last week, he had a 27% target share. They were clearly trying to get him heavily involved as the clear wide receiver 2 in that offense. But I don't think Meyers is startable. He's not startable. Davante, you got to play him. I think he's still a borderline wide receiver 1. Jakobi Meyers is not playable with Brian Hoyer or Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. I don't think he is. Because they're not going to throw much. They're going to be inefficient when they do. and they're going to lock in on Davante Adams. So everybody else in the offense is toast. So yeah, I'm not starting Jakobi Meyers if I can help it. All right. So we left off at Chris Olave, who's my wide receiver 9 for the week. So let's get my wide receiver 10. And that's Devontae Smith. See if we can find him here in this list. But Devontae Smith, he's been Devontae Smith. I mean, he's playing with Jalen Hurts in that Philly offense. We talked about it when we talked about AJ Brown, that there's going to be some inconsistency week to week with who's catching the passes in that offense. But just like AJ Brown, it could be a Devontae Smith week at any moment. You can't leave him on your bench. You can't. So he's my wide receiver 10. I think we'll put him. I think we got to keep him in this tier because otherwise we're going to run out of tiers. No, I think we got to put him in the C tier. We got to put him in the C tier. We're only going to do about top 15 wide receivers anyway. Then we get to Jalen Waddle as my wide receiver 11. Like we talked about Jalen Waddle already, but man, that was heartbreaking to see that he was not able to play last week. Who knows what he would have done in that game as part of those 70 points. He would have been involved somehow. He would have been doing something, scoring a touchdown, making some big plays. So that's going to be another high scoring game, though, going against the Bills. And then this is where we get to Davante Adams. Don't really have to talk about him because we just did. He's my wide receiver 12. Then we get to DK Metcalf as the wide receiver 13. I think this is where we could start to see a tier break here. I don't know. Do we want to put Metcalf here? I think at the end of this tier, I think we do. And then we'll have a tier break after him. So good. DK Metcalf is wide receiver 13. And now we're going to look for Mike Evans. Mike Evans is my wide receiver 14 for the week. Mike Evans, we talked about him earlier as well, but I really thought he was done. I thought he was done. I really did. After last year, he was so bad. He was so bad last year. And then he goes from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield and just gets revived. Who saw that coming? Not me, man. I don't know if I drafted any, maybe a little bit on Underdog. I drafted a little bit of Mike Evans, but it's just to get a minimal exposure. That would have been it. We'll put him in the D tier. But he's been impressive. And things always get wild. Wild with Mike Evans going against the Saints. Every year, there's always something happening. Him and Marshawn Lattimore have had a number of literal fights. So we'll see what happens this time around, especially with Jameis Winston starting on the other side, the former Tampa Bay Buck. It is not a Jameis Winston revenge game. What the hell does he have revenge against? They got rid of him because he was terrible. He threw 30 interceptions. What? You can't have revenge when you're the bad one. You're the bust as the number 1 overall pick. They picked you 101 overall. What do you have revenge against? They should be having revenge against you because you busted. You're terrible. They invested so much into you. You set their franchise back for years. And then we get to Brandon Ayuk as my wide receiver 15. We talked about him earlier as well, why we like him a lot this week. Good matchup. And then also with Debo banged up, I think it's going to be a Brandon Ayuk week for sure. Let's finish it up with our wide receiver. Well, you guys want to keep going? We could keep going. We could go to like wide receiver 18, wide receiver 20. Let's just keep going. Puka Nacua is my wide receiver 16. He has been He has been the mystery of all mysteries for me. Puka Nacua has been the mystery of all mysteries. And let me tell you, I know it's only been 3 weeks, but I have been very wrong about Puka Nacua. Very, very wrong about Puka Nacua. Um, I never saw this coming. He wasn't even that productive at BYU. He transferred schools. He went from, I believe he started at Washington or Washington State, and then he transferred to BYU. And I mean, he was okay there. The one thing when I look at his profile that you can really point to and be like, all right, this is an indicator of a guy who could be something at the NFL level. And that was the fact that he was getting so many opportunities as a rusher in the offense. And when guys have opportunities in college as wide receivers to take handoffs and to return kicks, they're using them on jet sweeps. This is an indicator that that team sees that player as one of its special playmakers, one of its best guys with the ball in its hands. They want to get him the football in as many ways as possible. That is something that they did, and that is something that we saw with Puka Nacua. I don't see on this list of players, by the way. Although I imagine he's got to be in here. But that is something that we saw with Puka Nacua. That's the only thing that I can point to on his profile that said maybe we should have been paying more attention. All right, so Puka, I don't believe is on this list unless I'm completely missing him, which is very, very possible. All right, I'm going to give that up, and we're going to go to the next wide receiver, which is Amari Cooper. He's nice and easy to find right here at the beginning. So Amari Cooper is my wide receiver 17 for the week going against the Ravens. He's been a guy that's been peppered with targets. They're trying to get him the football, and he's been good. Amari Cooper's been good, and he could have been so much better last week if that ref hadn't completely fucked him over. Blowing the whistle, and the guy wasn't even near the sideline. Then we got Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman he's been good. He's been a target magnet to this point. Whether it's Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew out there, he's been commanding a high number of targets. He's had double-digit targets in every single game. I believe his target shares are 36% in week 1. I believe it was 26% in week 2, and it was 28% in week 3, something like that. So he's getting elite target shares. He gets Anthony Richardson back this week. We're going to start to see more as Anthony Richardson gets more comfortable out there. We're going to start to see more downfield Anthony Richardson dropping back and just chucking it deep down the field for Michael Pittman to make plays. And that's where we're going to start to see Michael Pittman elevate his game into the next tier of wide receivers. I think Michael Pittman could be a low-end wide receiver 1 for fantasy football the rest of the season. Do you think Puka Nacua will be a good fantasy option with Cooper Kupp coming back? I mean, I think at this point, we have to say yes, he's going to be involved significantly. Is he going to be what he's been so far? No. What we have seen so far from Puka Nacua has been a fluke. Now, I'll admit, he's clearly a good NFL wide receiver. But I don't think he's been playing as an elite wide receiver. That is not Puka Nacua. I'm not convinced of that, and you cannot convince me of that. However, 100% he's a good wide receiver. He's going to have a productive season. He's going to have a productive career. Because you don't come into the NFL and command the amount of targets and convert those targets into good production at the level that he's done from day one, unless you're a good wide receiver. But I still think Tutu Atwell, when Cooper Kupp returns, Tutu Atwell could end up being more productive than Puka Nacua, because Puka Nacua is playing the Cooper Kupp role, where Tutu Atwell's role does not change when Cooper Kupp comes back. Tutu Atwell is playing the Tyreek Hill light role in this offense. They're using him, moving him around the formation, they're putting him in motion. He's running those Tyreek Hill-like routes that we're seeing from Hill in a similar offense in Miami as far as scheme goes. Obviously, the Dolphins are many tiers ahead of the Rams, but Mike McDaniel comes from that Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan tree of offensive, system, whatever you want to say. So I think that could happen, where Tutu outperforms Puka Nacua after Cooper Kupp comes back. But Puka is still going to be involved. He's still going to be relevant. He might go from, a borderline wide receiver 1 in fantasy football to more like in the wide receiver 3 range. But I think he's still going to be a guy that you're going to start. Maybe in your flex spot. I don't think he's going away. Full PPR, which two would you start between Brandon Ayuk, Calvin Ridley, and T. Higgins? I'm going to start Brandon Ayuk. And I think we got to go one more time to T. Higgins, because they're clearly targeting him. He's had so many targets. They want to get him involved, and he's going against the Titans. But I do only have him 2 spots ahead of Calvin Ridley. So if you want to play Calvin Ridley, I'm totally cool with that. I think Calvin Ridley is a safer play, but I think T. Higgins has a higher ceiling this week going against the Titans with the amount of targets he's seen. And he's going to want to make up for all the drops he's had last week. So you're thinking Higgins or Ridley. And like I said, I would play Ayuk over those guys, but they're all so close for me. I have Brandon Ayuk as my wide receiver 15. T. Higgins is my wide receiver 19. And Calvin Ridley is my wide receiver 21. So they're all like fairly close to each other. I can't blame you for going with any combination of these 3. I would go Ayuk and Higgins, unless you want to play it super safe. And I'd go Ayuk and Ridley. But I can't blame you if you want to go Higgins Ridley. But with Deebo Samuel banged up, I want to play Brandon Ayuk going against the Cardinals. And I got this guy. I don't know who this guy is. Never heard of him. Matt Flowers. I'm kidding. I have heard of him. He is the most important person at yardsperfantasy.com, including myself. We'd be nothing without him. This guy is a machine. Behind the scenes, he is just a genius. He's a genius. I couldn't think of any other word, but he constant, innovative, new ideas. But anyway, let's get to his question. Does he even have a question? He's just giving us a comment. I think Sean McVay might be trying to recreate the Kupp, Woods, Cooks trio. Kupp equals Kupp, Puka equals Woods, Tutu equals Cooks. That makes a lot of sense. I can see that. Absolutely. Yeah. That's pretty much how they're probably going to use these guys. Tutu is, the smaller, faster, down the field, guy. He's not as I don't think he's certainly no Brandon Cooks. I think Brandon Cooks has a much more complete wide receiver profile. He's a better route runner. He's just better at everything. Whereas Tutu Atwell is a little bit more one-dimensional. Um, yeah, I can see that for sure. Kenneth, did I give up too much? I traded Kyron Williams and Jakobi Meyers for Calvin Ridley. I wanted to get off these waiver wire pickups. No, I don't think you did. I don't think you did. Now, with some of the trades I've seen Kyron Williams go for, you may have possibly been able to get more for him. But this is a deal I would have hit accept on. And I'm not even a big Calvin Ridley guy. I'm not a big Calvin Ridley guy at all. I'm team Christian Kirk over Calvin Ridley all day. But I would take Calvin Ridley here. And I like Jakobi Meyers a lot. But I don't believe in Kyron Williams to continue to be what he's been. I think he's just a guy who just happens to get a ton of workload and happens to be the best running back in a bad backfield. Yeah, I think maybe technically, yes, you gave up too much, but I think it's a fine deal. I don't hate it at all. I'm happy with it. I think you should be happy with it. Because you're gonna be very comfortable starting Calvin Ridley every single week. Where I think we might get to the end of the year and we're like, what the hell happened to Kyron Williams? He's certainly the best player in that deal, and you can't go wrong with getting the best player as part of a deal. Especially because you're profiting. You pick those guys up off the waiver wire. You flip them for a guy that was being drafted in the second or third round. All right. Let's do a couple more wide receivers, and then we got to get out of here. We've been going for an hour and a half at this point. And we'll be back answering start stick questions tomorrow at 12:15 Eastern time, all the way up to kickoff. And if I don't get to your questions, at yardforfantasy.com, you can find my rankings on there. But let's wrap up. Let's go to the top 20. Who's the last guy we put on there? It was Michael Pittman, who's my wide receiver 18. We got two more. We got T. Higgins. See if we can pull up T. Higgins here. Where is T. Higgins? Probably, here he is. T. Higgins is my wide receiver 19, and then we'll wrap it up with Deebo Samuel as my wide receiver 20. We've talked about Deebo several times during this show. He's banged up. He's got the rib injury, which really concerns me for his style of play. As a guy who plays over the middle of the field, how comfortable are you going to be reaching out for a ball that's maybe a little bit overthrown or so forth, when you know you're going to get hit in the ribs? That's tough. And then after the catch, how aggressive are you going to be after the catch, lowering your shoulder into guys, spinning in the middle of the field and juking guys, just being Deebo Samuel? When you know you're going to get hit in the ribs, shit, that shit hurts, man. Getting hit in the ribs when you already have hurt ribs. Whew. Ugh. Even if you're as tough as Deebo Samuel, that's hard to take. Really, really hard to take. All right, let's take this final question from A. Would you trade Brandon Ayuk and Damian Pierce for Rachaad White and Ramondre Stevenson? If I need... Yeah, I would. If I need to upgrade the running back position, because I think Ayuk and Stevenson are fairly one for one. And I love the usage of Rachaad White over the usage of Damian Pierce. And both of them have been equally inefficient anyway. So I'll take the elite bell cow usage of Rachaad White over a guy in a backfield who's losing touches to Devin Singletary and Mike Boone. any day. So yeah, I would do that deal. I would do that. All right. Let's wrap it up there. We had a really good show. We got through our top 14 running backs, our top 20 wide receivers, answered a lot of start sit questions, and we'll be back tomorrow at 12:15. Only answering start sit questions. We're not trying to do rankings and all that other bullshit. We're only focusing on your questions, and we'll do that at 12:15 all the way to the 1 o'clock kickoff tomorrow. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, everybody who asked a question, and I really hope to see you all back here tomorrow. Thanks, guys.